What's up, Facebook fam? Today is July 7th, 2020. This is going to be episode 40. As I promised you yesterday, I'm going to cover the top censored news stories of the day. And I record this as a podcast, so I'm going to record the podcast here in about a minute. I use Facebook as a platform to be able to draw more attention to the podcast. So I'm just going to allow some people to come into the broadcast. We'll start here in about a minute. It's 11 Mountain, 10 Pacific. Hope y'all are doing well. How are you doing? How the heck are ya? I'm doing well, thanks for asking. I don't know if you guys have ever talked to an iPad before and don't actually know if anyone's watching. It's something I'm getting used to. It's pretty cool. So, yeah, we had some rain here in Colorado today in July. It's pretty awesome. How's the weather in your neck of the woods? Hashtag small talk. Has anyone ever been sarcastic about small talk? It's kind of mean, but it is mean. But it's kind of funny, right? Today's broadcast is brought to you by Badley Sprinkling Water. Sorry, guys, when it gets past 10... I start getting a little weird, but it's time to get serious because we've got some serious news to cover. So, yeah, today is July 7th. Let's just go ahead and get it started. I don't think anybody is here. It's okay. Promise not to get my feelings hurt. Okay. Testing. Welcome. Today is the top censored news stories for July 8th, 2020. You are listening to Counterculture with Aaron Lujan. I am going to be covering the top censored news stories of the day. Thank you for joining me, guys. Yesterday was the announcement that I want to get into the groove of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, sharing with you guys the stories that are really standing out, stories that are probably not getting covered by the corporate media. They're not popping up in your Google News, or if they are, they're being spun to fit a particular worldview. So this is being recorded live on Facebook and primarily a podcast available on all the major podcast players. Today's starting headline is from thefederalist.com. Shootings and killings surge in Democrat-run cities across the country. Minneapolis, New York, Philadelphia, Nashville, Chicago, Milwaukee, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, and New Orleans have all seen murders jump over 20% in 2020. Murders and shootings in Chicago are up 80%. New York has averaged at a 209% over these last weeks compared to the same times last year. Interestingly, Republican-led cities such as Jacksonville, Florida, and San Diego have not had equivalent surges according to the data above. So this article is touching on the fact that having more officers on the streets has always historically been widely recognized to reduce crime, and the inverse is true as well. And of course, this is all happening while the Minneapolis City Council is debating on defunding the entire police department, and other cities across the country are reimagining policing. Very disturbing trends that are happening, as pointed out by the Federalist. And what's interesting about this is that if you were to zoom in on Chicago, 16 dead, 63 injured just over the 4th of July weekend. What is going on, Chicago? It is crazy. You guys know I've been beating the drum on Chicago here for a minute. The mayor is blaming it on guns, of course. So the guns, it's the fault of the guns. These guns are just flying into the hands of people, and they're just finding themselves just shooting. So Mayor Lori Lightfoot, I'm not one to point out someone's looks, but man, wow. All I gotta say, guys, I'm so mean. I'm sorry. I just want to say hashtag Beetlejuice. This is a comedy show at times, but if you're a mayor overseeing a city and seen dozens of deaths, I don't feel particularly as guilty about making fun of you looking like Beetlejuice. In New York, a dad was killed in the Bronx while holding his daughter's hand in broad daylight. Of course, it was a black man. Of course, this was not a Black Lives Matter issue. It's caught on video. It's 6 o'clock in the afternoon. His daughter by his side. He's 29 years old. And a car pulls up. A gun comes out of the window and just shoots him dead on the spot while his daughter and a bystander run away. Incredibly tragic. You guys, we are witnessing Bedlam released on the once great United States of America. The grandpa of this murdered 11-year-old in Washington, D.C. over the weekend. So we had a case of an 11-year-old boy was shot and killed during a family cookout. He came to just pick up some earbuds and I think his some other things at a cookout. And as he got out of the car, fire rang out. He was shot and killed in Washington, D.C. And what I find most interesting about this story is what the grandfather said. Again, guys, this is the first time I've done this, so bear with me. I'm a little unbalanced here. I'm looking at a camera. I got a microphone in front of me. My mouse is on my arm rest. I'm looking for pity right now, so send it to me, Amazon Prime. So what does it say here? The grandpa of the killed 11-year-old said, quote, "Everybody's just saying they're just tired of the shootings in the community. Everybody is running around here thinking they're Uzi-toting, dope-sucking, psychopathic killing machines, and they're just destroying lives. We're protesting for months, for weeks, saying Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter, it seems like, only when a police officer shoots a black person," Ayala lamented bitterly. "What about all the black-on-black crime that's happening in the community?" Yeah, an 11-year-old shot and killed on the 4th of July weekend, not a news story. A methed up, criminal record-filled George Floyd gets killed by arguably a crisis actor. We have to burn down black bars and black businesses. Doesn't make any sense. FoxNews.com is reporting Atlanta mayor calls for citizens to stop shooting each other after murder of 8-year-old near Black Lives Matter protest. We have an 8-year-old now that was killed in Atlanta amongst 9 unarmed black people. I'm sorry, let me start over. Last year, Atlanta reported 9 unarmed black people were killed. This year, as of July 7th, 25 people were just shot in Atlanta yesterday. Yesterday, you guys. So 9 all of 2019, 25 yesterday, July 6th. Is anyone paying attention? Atlanta is getting bad. The political agenda of Black Lives Matter results in blacks being killed, says journalist Andy No. Until recently, Black Lives Matter was viewed with skepticism by members of both parties. A newly unearthed secretive 2015 Democratic congressional memo flatly calls BLM a radical group, but then we've apparently changed our tune. The quote in the article states, in 2018, there were 7,407 black homicide victims. Assuming a comparable number of victims last year, those 9 unarmed black victims of police shootings represent 0.1% of all African Americans killed in 2019. By contrast, a police officer is 18.5 times more likely to be killed by a black male than an unarmed black male is to be killed by a police officer. So actually, the reverse is true. If you are a police officer, you are much more likely, statistically speaking, to be killed by a black man than by anyone else, statistically speaking. In 2015, Justice Department analysis of the Philadelphia Police Department found that white police officers were less likely than black or Hispanic officers to shoot unarmed black suspects. Research by Harvard economist Roland G. Fryer Jr. also found no evidence of racial discrimination in shootings. So if you guys take some time to actually look at research, to look at statistics, you will see that the narrative that the corporate media is pushing is blanket, just on its face false. It's BS. It's a bunch of bull. Fryer's work has also determined that when police pull out of communities, black deaths tend to increase. I was listening to a radio show the other day by a black host, and he was saying in his conversations with his friends and family in the black community that an overwhelming number of them are opposed to defunding or reducing police presence because they understand through experience that you remove the police, since you've already removed the fathers from the home, they're either incarcerated or in jail, comparatively to other groups in the United States, that you're going to have bedlam, you're going to have mayhem. There are not going to be anybody there to protect innocent people during the day. It's incredibly troubling. And the false narrative of systemic police bias resulted in targeted killings of officers during the Obama presidency. So if you remember a lot, this narrative encourages police officers to be targeted. Remember pigs in a blanket, fry 'em, the chants of Black Lives Matter, I believe during the Obama era? You guys, this is only fomenting violence against police officers. Moving along, this is being reported by Twitchy.com. Give me a minute here. Unhinged Atlanta mayor says it's Trump's lack of leadership that is playing out as violence in her city in Chicago. So the mayor of Chicago is blaming it on inanimate objects, and the mayor of Atlanta, who just had this little girl tragically killed, or was it the boy, the 11-year-old boy, is blaming Trump. It's Trump's fault that her city is out of control. Fascinating to pass the blame. But not to fear, the EpicTimes.com is reporting that Georgia governor declares state of emergency, sends National Guard troops to Atlanta. So now we are in a state of emergency as of July 7th, 2020 in the once great city of Atlanta, Georgia. ZeroHedge.com is reporting something that I find fascinating. I thought these guys had disappeared in the 70s. The title of the article is "We're in Your House, Let's Go. Black armed protesters challenge white militia at Confederate monument." So what we have, if you go to the ZeroHedge.com, is a group called No Effin' Around Coalition. That's literally the name of their group, the NFAC, No Effin' Around Coalition. Imagine having to put that in your job application. So, John, tell me how it's your tenure over at the Not Around Coalition. They marched through the Stone Mountain Park near Atlanta on Independence Day, which makes me wonder, is the state of emergency just for the unrest in the city, or could it be the fact that we have hundreds of heavily armed black men dressed in black combat gear with military-style weapons marching around the outskirts of the Stone Mountain monument, I believe, some sort of state landmark, and they were essentially saying, where is the white militia? We're here, where the F you at? And the videos on this are incredible. It's John Bankhead, a spokesman for Stone Mountain Memorial Association, said the NFC's demonstrations were peaceful and orderly. Quote, "It's a public park, a state park. We have these protests on both sides of the issue from time to time. We respect people's First Amendment right." Sounds very different from what we heard the news a couple weeks back when the lockdown protesters were showing up in Lansing, Michigan, and saying, this show of firearm is just inappropriate and it's racially hinged. You literally have black nationalist groups with firearms, and the government is saying they're sweet cutie pies. Clearly a bias within the government, within the establishment, towards both sides of this issue. Nobody's saying, hey, why aren't these NFAC men socially distanced and wearing masks? And the article touches on something that I wanted to read that's very interesting to me. The next phase of the COVID-19 pandemic could be a flare-up of social unrest across major Western cities as millions have lost their jobs, economies have crashed into depressions, and the military is being called up to maintain order. Coronavirus is still worsening the well-being. So literally, we're having the economy imploded by design through the pandemic, scamdemic of COVID-19, which we'll get into here in a minute, which literally creates the fuel for the flame. Hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of young people disillusioned with their lives, being fed a steady diet of fear and division, compliments of ABC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, and all of the corporate media alphabet soup networks, the New York Slimes, the Washington Compost, etc., etc. So this is an incredible time to be alive because we have a lot of interesting trends converging at one singular point. Jihadwatch.org sort of touches on this if my computer wants to open the article. So give my hair a second. Settle your horses. NYC, North Korean and Palestinian protesters scream death to America and death to Israel. So if you guys remember back in the days, leftist media, if you wanted to call it that, were making fun of radical right-wingers for parroting conspiracy theories about how there was an alliance between jihadis and leftist groups. Well, here you have actual leftist groups that ascribe to jihad. These are Islamic groups that are essentially now forming alliances with pro-North Korea activists who are now forming alliances with militant black nationalists. So essentially, this event that Jihad Watch covered in New York City, this leftist jihadist alliance, is now finally coming to pass in a way that I don't think I've seen since maybe the Obama era. And where it gets really interesting to highlight this point is the Gateway Pundit's article, Black Lives Matter leader Toronto believes white people are subhuman. Hold on. I got ad block. Toronto believes white people are subhuman, calls them, quote, genetic defects, begs Allah to help her, quote, not kill white folks. This is your Black Lives Matter co-founder of Toronto, Yusra Kogali, a black woman who is actually racist. When you say a certain person or a certain group of people have genetic defects due to the color of their skin, I would call that classical racism. Does that not discredit their position or their claim to be fighting racism by actually being racist? Obviously. But what makes this, that's not even the craziest part. The craziest part is she begs Allah. I mean, it's like the devil created a soup of just the best ingredients. It's 2020 du jour. I mean, if this wasn't real, it'd be hilarious. And we see more of the Black Lives Matter movement in the nationalfile.com, Black Lives Matter, BLM agitator vows to call CPS on white church-going mother. So in upstate New York, you have peaceful Anglo people going to church on a Sunday, dressed in their Sunday best as families with their children. And you have literal terrorists, and I'm going to call them terrorists, interfering with these people in going to church and saying, no justice, no peace. We're gonna report you to Child Protective Services and have your children taken away. And this character works for the city of Albany, and recently in their local newspaper was lauded as a mentor for young people. So, wow. I guess justice for George Floyd means going to church and threatening CPS on peaceful Christian moms. You guys, this is revolution if you haven't figured it out yet. the westernjournal.com did report someone getting in trouble, though, regarding Black Lives Matter, but it's not what you would hope it is. Christian college student kicked out of school for posting videos critical of BLM. It was a really silly video of this really young girl in college saying people, when a black person kills another black person and she's indifferent, people when a black person kills a white person, and then people when a white person kills a black person, and there's like Armageddon going on behind her. And she was apparently kicked out of school for that position, which the article points out this BLM movement is hypocritical because it only seems to care about certain black lives. And the school said that there will be she did face serious consequences for exercising her First Amendment right. And just want to find the name of the school so we can put them on blast. It's HSU, a Baptist-affiliated Hardin-Simmons University in Abilene, Texas. So you're not even safe at a Christian college in the heart of Texas for posting a lighthearted, it was literally lighthearted, not like the Asian chick from Harvard is, if I hear all lives matter one more time, I'm going to stab you, I'm going to stab you, and look at my paper cut. No, like, and fortunately she lost her job, but this was far from it. She's no longer going to school, folks, because she posted a video critical of Black Lives Matter. I mean, I guess my video would put me in, I don't know, the Holocaust or something, because I'm actually telling the truth about the Black Lives Matter movement. Moving along from these terrorists, FoxNews.com's reporting Biden-founded law firm, as well as a company tied to Pelosi, received payroll protection program funds. Documents show loans come as Biden accuses Trump of cronyism. So this is just another article illustrating the hypocrisy. Obviously, we're in an election. I want to bring up some election issues. Obviously, Biden is a giant hypocrite. These are all politickers. These are people, these are panderers. These are empty, helium-filled folks who just will say and do anything to get elected. EDI Associates in San Rafael, California has 52 employees and says it's in the full-service restaurant business, received $350,000 check and a $1 million check from the PPP program. Guess who Guess who this company is connected to? Nancy Pelosi. Her husband is deeply involved in that organization. The other big one was Biden. Apparently, he had a law firm that got a big payout. Used to be called Biden and Walsh. It's now Monzak, Mirsky, McLaughlin, and Browder. He's still connected to them. The person who runs that law firm is close to the Biden presidential campaign. And they also received a lot of money. But I guess what makes this particularly disturbing is Fox News is also reporting that Biden says he is going to transform the nation if elected. And we don't know what that means by transform. But I have a suspicion what kind of transformation Creepy Joe is referring to. But when you mix those two articles together, you just got bad news. You got these people that are just looting our country and just want to crap all over us. But I got good news. Business Insider says we're going to get paid. Mitch McConnell opens the door to another stimulus check for Americans, saying people earning under $40K a year have been hit the hardest. McConnell's comments come after National Economic Council Director Kudlow said that direct payments could go towards people who lost their jobs and are most in need. So if you're looking for more Trump bucks, you are in luck. You may be getting a deposit soon. Now let's talk about Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg declares black conservatives the Coon Bunch, targeting Herman Cain, Candace Owens. Oh, and now that I go back to this article, the image has been blocked. Okay, we have to go to Instagram. Candace Owens, Herman Cain, Terrence Williams, Angela Stanton, Daryl Scott, Paris Denmarb, the Hodge twins, Diamond and Silk. So he was trying to make fun of them by parodying the Brady Bunch. and called them the Coon Bunch. And if you don't know what a coon is, it's a common slur, according to Breitbart, used by black Americans against black conservatives, along with Uncle Tom, which dates back to the 19th century. So Snoop Dogg, a washed up, completely illegitimate rapper who really has zero relevance today. I mean, grow up, bro. This guy is so old looking. I mean, he was cool when I was 17. I'm going to have my 40th birthday next year. Why hasn't Snoop Dogg gone away? But apparently he gets to be racist and call blacks coons because he's got the correct color of skin. Snoop Dogg, D-O-double-G. Moving along, we have CBN.com reporting Classy Act, black actor Terry Crews defends his decisions to, quote, unite with good people no matter the race. So I wanted to put these two articles back to back because you can have Snoop Dogg racially attack people because they have a certain opinion, but then someone who is seeking peace and seeking unity and is also black is being attacked for his comments, for being divisive, for being, I'll just read some of these tweets over here. Give me a moment. David Jacobs says, Terry Crews, you picked a honorable hill to die on. Okay, no, that was a good one. Anyways, go to the CBN article. If you're black and you're prominent and you want to unite with good people no matter their race, you get attacked. If you're Snoop Dogg and you call people racial slurs, you're a cool guy. Woe to those who call good evil and evil good. 100%fedup.com has a video of the DC BLM group dancing on the American flag, telling Trump supporters, F the American flag. What's up, Ken Clark? I'm saying hello to people that are in the live Facebook feed. I'm sorry, brother. I have a hard time reading and looking at the camera and reading the comments at the same time. As I get better at this, I'll address the comment section in the future. Right now, I am an amateur. Excuse me. The Gateway Pundit. Californians revolt after Democrats cancel 4th of July festivities, light up the sky with thousands of illegal fireworks. Same thing happened in my neighborhood here in Colorado Springs. I feel like it was such a sweet, ironically sweet form of protest because it is the 4th of July. Americans are celebrating our Independence Day, and the government's telling us we can't celebrate because, you know, I guess you could spread coronavirus through fireworks or something. I don't even know what their angle is, and so we just started launching them anyways. And literally at my house in my neighborhood, there was like 6 or 7 houses going off. Driving back to attempt to watch a show, the entire sky was filled. And it was really, I think, a matter of a protest. People are tired. The people have woken up, and we're just, you know, starting to flex our muscle. TheDailyCaller.com. Let's transition over to COVID. Stanford's Dr. Scott Atlas, 80 to 85% of Texas hospital patients have nothing to do with COVID-19. He said that those under 70, the death rate is actually lower than the seasonal flu. And then I'll quote the doctor saying, in fact, we have a decrease in death rates. You know, it doesn't matter if you get the illness, if you're going to fully recover and be fine from it. That is what people must understand. For younger, healthier people, there is not a higher risk from this disease at all. Quote, when you have a lot of low-risk people get the infection, that's how you generate population immunity, end quote. Gallagher cited a Los Angeles Times headline that listed a hospital at 99% capacity, but then explained later that only 30% were COVID patients. So you see the little game that the media plays. LA Times hyperventilates. We're at 99% capacity. COVID-19 cases are just rising and rising and rising. And then you actually look at the data and it's like, well, only 30% actually had COVID. Maybe it's all those cancer patients who've been eating fast food and smoking your cigarettes and in consuming your BP and your plastic products. But I digress. Our healthcare system, our sick care system, wouldn't want to admit that. So it's just fascinating, you guys. I touched on this a little bit. All of the deception that's happening with this COVID thing, it is crazy. And just to add fuel to the fire, ZeroHedge.com has a Stanford doctor talking about how COVID fatality rate for people under 45 is almost 0%. For people younger than 45, the infection fatality rate is almost 0%. For 45 to 70, it is probably about 0.05% to 0.3%. For those above 70, it escalates substantially. So, you guys, the media is giving half-truths. They're only giving... hashtag Epstein didn't kill himself. Is that what I'm supposed to say? Sorry, guys, I'm kind of joking. Someone's talking about Epstein. Next time you guys are at the airport and you need to page a family member or friend, make sure you change your name to Epstein didn't kill himself. That's going to be my... I'm actually going to legally change my name on my birth certificate to Epstein didn't kill himself, Lujan. You are listening to Counterculture with Epstein didn't... Sorry, guys, like I said, it's past 11. So what we have here is a scandemic, a plandemic, according... Oh, but that Stanford doctor, he's just he's racist. He's, I don't know, he's illegitimate. But listen to Fauci. So, and then he also cites 50, this, it's not just, I have a Stanford degree. I mean, the guy's coming through with some real serious evidence. Quote, there are already more than 50 studies that have presented results on how many people in different countries and locations have developed antibodies to the virus. Of course, none of these studies are perfect, but cumulatively they provide useful composite evidence. A very crude estimate might suggest that about 150 to 300 million or more people have already been infected around the world, far more than the 10 million documented cases. So it's not a scary disease. Fee.org is reporting NPR, mounting evidence suggests COVID-19 not as deadly as thought. Did the experts fail again? Phil, you're partied out again. Did you guys ever see Wayne's World? There's a really cool part me and my brother always joke about. Bill, you're partied out again. I'm going to have to stop podcasting at night, guys. I'm sorry. The new NPR report suggests that global response to COVID-19 may have been reached on a flawed premise. I want to read this part right here. Mounting evidence suggests the coronavirus is more common and less deadly than it first appeared. Now, this is NPR, National Public Radio. This is the most established, upper middle class liberal news organization in America. And even they're saying the evidence comes from... I'm going to do my NPR voice, guys. Sorry, my wife hates this when I do it. I hope you guys enjoy it. The evidence comes from tests that detect antibodies to the coronavirus in a person's blood rather than the virus itself. The tests are finding large numbers of people in the U.S. who were infected but never became seriously ill. And when these mild infections are included in coronavirus statistics, the virus appears less dangerous. The current best estimates for the infection fatality risks are between 0.5% and 1%, says Caitlin Rivers, an epidemiologist at the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security. That's in contrast with death rates of 5% or more, based on calculations that included only people who got sick enough to be diagnosed with tests that detect the presence of virus in a person's body. I'm Aaron Lujan. This is NPR. TheFederalist.com has an article titled CDC, after 10-week decline in COVID-19 deaths, it may soon no longer be an epidemic. So we got NPR, we got the CDC, we got these other sources that are saying, you guys, the story on COVID is not what the mainstream media is having you believe. But don't worry if you're in California. MRCTV.org is reporting California Governor Newsom, aka the Joker, reinstates COVID lockdown and adds strike teams to enforce it. Now, in fairness, in journalistic integrity, the MRCTV, they did not call Newsom the Joker. I did. But this is interesting that the teams will include representatives from the California Highway Patrol, the Division of Occupational Safety and Health, as well as people from the Alcohol Beverage Control, Barbering and Cosmetology, Business Oversight, Consumer Affairs, Food and Agriculture, the Labor's Commissioner's Office, and the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. So let's just completely ignore people's constitutional rights. I don't know if Governor Newsom understands this, but he has absolutely no right, nor does the California Assembly have absolutely no right to take people's ability to exchange business or have free exchange, to have the ability to travel, to freely associate. The constitutional violations of these California orders are over the top insane. I hope to God that patriotic spirit in California that I saw in Huntington Beach and San Diego, really, in Sacramento too, really rise up, you guys. I thought California was out for the count, and you guys proved me wrong during those lockdown protests. You guys have it in you. That 1776 spirit is well and live in the Golden Coast. So let's do this, guys. Defy these orders. Businesses need to stay open, and there needs to be strike teams of our own in Sacramento every single damn day, and Newsom needs to feel the heat. I mean, because the reason I'm focusing on California isn't because that's where I'm from or where a lot of my friends and family reside, but I focus on California because California has always been known as that bellwether state. It's California first. The direction that California goes, so goes the world. And so let's get this together. The article also points out that Newsom focused on counties hit hard by the virus, even though we can't really define what the actual infection rates or the mortality rates are in California. And there has been an increase in the number of antibody tests, which suggests that's why there's an increase in reported cases. You record more, you're going to report more. But all that's ignored in context of Newsom's orders. So moving along, since we're talking about disease, NBC News is reporting the bubonic plague case detected in China's Inner Mongolia region. So maybe they're starting to realize that they're losing the COVID-19 rate. Yes, Ken Clark, new war is biological. I agree with you. And thank you for joining Counterculture. I didn't think anybody listened live. I know people listen afterwards, but this is encouraging. I do this so I can stay married, you guys, because pray for my wife. If it wasn't for this podcast, she'd be hearing all this. It's not fair. Wives' lives matter. So if they're going to lose the COVID-19 war, they're probably going to lose everything. So they're going to have to hash up another scary disease.
Yeah, I know what we'll call it. We'll call it the bubonic plague.
You know, go old school. It's like, you know, all the new songs that are really good are just sampling like 80s hooks. Let's just sample like old school diseases. You know, it'll be like the Middle Ages greatest hits. You know, we'll have like, what did you die of at the end of Oregon Trail? Dysentery? Isn't that just diarrhea? Well, I guess they can't say like dysentery is on the rise, but you know what I mean, guys. We gotta scare the public because fear is one hell of a weapon. BusinessInsider.com. Aggressive anti-mask customers are forcing some restaurants to shut dining rooms to protect employees from abuse. Restaurants in Texas, California, and Michigan have announced plans to once again shutter, not because the government told them so, but because people acting like a fool. You acting like a fool, man. Don't tell me to wear a mask, fool. Don't tell. I mean, I kind of feel it. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever had somebody be like, hey, man, wear a mask. It happened to me the other day. I walked into a restaurant, and she's like, can you wear a mask? Where's your mask? Do you have a mask? And it's like that initial reaction of like, yo, mama. You know, but I got to breathe and love my brothers and my sisters. So, you know, if you're having a bad day and the homie at McDonald's, you know, just like, hey, and, you know, just says it's slightly wrong, someone's going to get popped. And apparently there's a lot of popping happening. So much popping that Hugo's Tacos in LA had a GoFundMe because I guess everyone's getting their butt kicked over there. Another place in Encinitas, an organic place, some fancy beach place, I guess, for all the soccer moms that drive like X5s. I could totally see them having a hard time with it. I guess a customer lashed out at the workers who asked them to wear masks. So it's just going on all over the place, you guys. People are getting tired of this, and see, governors don't have to enforce these rules. It's the food workers. It's the people making $9 an hour that have to do this. And this isn't going to work because it's just gonna eventually cause people to stop enforcing the laws, and this is just gonna fall apart. And another part I wanted to touch on was the Federalist.com's article, Evil Coronavirus Rules That Force Americans to Die Alone Must Never Happen Again. You guys, joking aside, I heard this really sad story actually here in Colorado, Aurora, Colorado, of a husband who was losing his wife. We don't even really know if it was COVID. They claimed it was COVID. They wouldn't let the family see each other. I actually had lunch with a friend who, he's a pastor, and he was meeting with families on their deathbed, and he was clearly upset with the fact that there were these rules where people were having to die alone. It's very inhumane, and this article really touches on this. So yeah, you're getting upset about having to wear a mask, and there's a lot of ridiculousness, but there's also some tragic human stories that are starting to surface as we are coming out of this pandemic phase 1 of people dying alone, and that's just not cool. NBCnews.com, let's get out of Corona land, put that Corona down, and talk about TikTok and the Chinos. U.S. looking at banning TikTok and Chinese social media apps, Pompeo says. The head of the CIA, Pompeo, is looking at getting rid of TikTok. Sorry, Gen Z. It's like having millennials' Facebook taken away 5 years ago. U.S. maintains that the Huawei equipment could be used for espionage by Beijing. TikTok, Washington has been concerned that the platform censors content and that its data could be accessed by Beijing. So essentially there's a Chinese company that's behind TikTok. And as we know, the Chinese are, the Chi-Coms, as I like to start calling them, control everything. And it's a complete surveillance system. It's a 1 billion people under a social credit system. And they basically have exported their technology to the land of the free and the home of the brave. And thank God for Pompeo and the Trump administration for saying no way, Jose, because that could potentially be a national security concern, in my opinion. When asked by Fox News if Americans should download the social media app, Pompeo said, quote, "Only if you want your information in the hands of the Chinese Communist Party." Moving along. I need to figure out another phrase for moving along, or else I'm going to say moving along. Speaking of TikTok, Christian TikTok videos are censored and deleted in the U.S., creators say. Pro-life accounts on the app were disabled and later reinstated. There was a story of a girl who said, quote, "I grew up in a family where we love Jesus, we just love the Bible. I know the subject, so I made TikTok trends around the Bible." One of her videos went viral, ended up amassing 1 million views. 2 weeks ago, on a live stream Bible study with her sister, the screen went black in the middle of a Q&A session, and a little box popped up that said, "You have been permanently banned." How do you say that in Chinese? I don't know. They just never gave us an excuse, just that I violated multiple community guidelines. And there was case after case after case, but yeah, TikTok, guys. TikTok, you don't stop. Interesting times we live in, isn't it? The Chinese aren't fans of the Christians. But speaking of the Christians, Kanye West says he's running for president of the United States and has 2020 vision. And he's using the hashtag 2020 vision. That was more of like just a little break, guys. You know, it's our water break. Laugh break. I think he missed all the deadlines. So it's not really a serious. I did see a funny tweet though. This breaking, Kanye West is seeking attention. Hollywood producer who was part of Jeffrey Epstein's Lolita Express circle dead. Falls off the 27th floor of a building. So there was this very rich, very powerful movie producer who was married to heartthrob of the 90s, Liz Turley, I think was her name. I don't know, I'm not a TV movie guy, but you know, a worldly guy in the Hollywood world, and very well connected to Bill Clinton. Maybe he got Clinton-sided, who knows? But I just find it all very interesting timing that people connected to the Clintons and Epstein are just falling off of L.A. Condos from the 27th floor, right as this Ghislaine, or whatever her name is, Ghislaine, Epstein's gal pal, is under arrest. Speaking of Ghislaine, the Mind Unleashed, Ghislaine, sorry guys, you must think it's hilarious, I can never pronounce anybody's name. I blame my mom, she dropped me a lot. Ghislaine Maxwell on suicide watch as her victims' lawyers worry she won't make it out alive. An attorney for several Epstein victims think Ghislaine Maxwell will die behind bars. Are we even surprised, guys? Like, as if this story of Epstein wasn't already ridiculous. You know, now she's on suicide watch because apparently she's in possession of sex tapes of all the major brokers, power brokers of international finance, politics, business, you name it. You guys, just really quickly, I'm way over 30 minutes. I'm sorry. It's a rough draft. If you're still listening, God bless you. You get a sticker at the end of this. The whole Epstein thing is really, my understanding is that he might have been Mossad, which is the equivalent of the CIA in Israel, and he played the role of the blackmail chief. His job was to get the dirt on all the powerful people. So you don't get into positions of power in this world unless you're controllable. And so Epstein was the chief of that operation, if you will. He knew where all the bodies were buried. And so this was not the plan for Epstein to get prosecuted and for his case to be in the public eye. And it did nevertheless, because truth always wins, always wins, always wins. So if you guys are thinking about choosing sides, I highly suggest and recommend you choose goodness and righteousness and truth over evil and self and darkness. Because this is what happens to you. Only if you hold chips, or if you hold chips. I don't know what that means, Ken. Sorry guys, I'm reading the comments in Facebook. So, moving along, Michigan is back in the news. ZeroHedge.com. Michigan passes controversial bill to microchip humans voluntarily to, quote, protect their privacy. So we have the mark of the beast. Remember when people used to make fun of you in the 90s and the early 2000s? Yeah, when's your Bible gonna come true? Ain't you guys always been saying, like, the Antichrist is coming and we have to take a mark? I don't believe it. What an amazing time to be alive. No other generation in the history of the world has been able to point to the daily news and see the mark of the beast actually be a viable option literally within a few months. You have microchips are beginning to seep into the marketplace as new technological devices to help streamline everyday business practices. The chips, roughly the size of a grain of rice, are implanted into the hands of employees and act as replacements for ID badges, time cards, usernames, and passwords. Guys, I'm a little tempted to take the mark because I hate entering passwords all the time. I'm totally joking. I'll never take the mark. But I feel like that's what I do for a living. I'm in digital marketing, so it's like I have passwords to everything. If you guys find out that password, you end my life. I shouldn't be saying that because it's kind of true. Anyways, fortunately no one's listening. 90% of Americans are uncomfortable with microchipping, mostly due to studies that suggest a link between RFID transponders and cancer in lab animals. So even if people think it's convenient, they don't want to die for the convenience. Although people that go to fast food are kind of doing that, but maybe they don't know. The plan to chip humans globally through a digital ID was exposed in the Italian parliament recently. A member of the parliament for Rome denounced Bill Gates as a vaccine criminal and urged the Italian president to hand him over to the International Criminal Court for Crimes Against Humanity for his digital identification program that is now known as ID 2020. I know we didn't hear that in the news. Did NBC report on the fact that the Italian parliament wants to hand over Bill Gates to international criminal courts? No, you're only going to hear that here on the zerohedge.com, recently demonetized by Google, and Counterculture. That's why you're here. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your boyfriends, tell your girlfriends, tell your enemies. Lifenews.com, pro-life group endorses Trump as the most pro-life president in the history of the United States. You guys, this is why I like Trump, and this is probably why I'll be voting for him, unless Kanye really sways my opinion in November, because life is my number one issue. If you are a nation that can have a wholesale genocide for the last 30 to 40 years unapologetically and kill millions of children, there's really not any other issues to discuss. Like, I can't really have a serious debate about the economy when we're chopping up babies, literally. Like, so when we had President Trump come out and the Title X funding and the Mexico City policy being reversed and being the first president to speak at March for Life, and really his policy, not even his rhetoric, but he rhetorically and his policies have all been very pro-life. So thank you, President Trump, for standing on that, and I agree with that award. Breitbart.com, let's talk about Cap. Switching to sports. Nike remains quiet after Kaepernick calls Independence Day a celebration of white supremacy. I'm going to read the tweet from Mr. Kaepernick, at Kaepernick7. He looks like the guy from SpongeBob SquarePants. I don't remember what their names are, but he has like that, like SpongeBob's friend. You guys know who that is? Black people, and he spells people PPL. Black people have been dehumanized, brutalized, criminalized, and terrorized by America for centuries and are expected to join your commemoration of independence, he air quotes, while you enslaved our ancestors. We reject your celebration of white supremacy and look forward to liberation for all. Black Communist Fist. And then he's got some video with 4 million views, 184,000 plus hearts, and 184,000 hearts. You guys, we live in incredible times that a person could say something like that. And where's Nike? You guys, if you have any Nike gear, reconsider, please. I personally am an Adidas guy. But not only is Nike staying silent, the IJR.org is reporting Colin Kaepernick inks documentary deal with Disney about his life. Aw, Disney, isn't that cute? Maybe, do they own SpongeBob? Maybe they can have that character that looks like him actually be the cartoon of his life. Since we're on the topic of sports, Philadelphia Eagles' Deshaun Jackson is slammed. He's criticized after posting anti-Semitic quotes, which, by the way, there's no such thing as anti-Semitism. That's a made-up word that just came into existence a few decades ago, made up, I believe, by I don't know who it was made up by, attributed to Hitler on social media and praising Louis Farrakhan. Fact checkers have proven it's not even Hitler's quotes, but essentially one of the quotes read, "The white Jews knows that the Negroes are the real children of Israel, and to keep America's secret, the Jews will blackmail America." Jackson, 33, has 2 years left on his current contract totaling $14.4 million. So if you are in the NFL and you mildly, maybe potentially quote a quote, say you don't support Hitler, you might lose your job in the NFL. If you say the things that Kaepernick said that are actually racist, if you throw the nation that gave you wealth and gave you everything that you have under the van, you get a movie deal with Disney and your biggest sponsor stays silent. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil. The Philadelphia Eagles stated, "We are continuing to evaluate the circumstances and will take appropriate action." Ken says, "I'm an 80s baby. It's total mind control programming in effect." I agree with you 100%, Ken. 100%. We're in a revolution, and the weapons being lobbed against us are information bombs. As the dailysignal.com reports, the vandals tear down statue of Frederick Douglass and drag it to the river. You guys, Frederick Douglass was a freed slave who worked towards the emancipation. So obviously, either the people who are destroying statues are incredibly, magnificently ignorant to the point where they can't spend 10 seconds on Wikipedia, or they are literally just trying to destroy culture, black abolitionist statues, people who actually fought for purportedly the goals of Black Lives Matter, at least the goals that the corporate media says are, when their actual goals stated on their website is they want to destroy the nuclear family, which happens to be the #1 contributor to eliminating black-on-black violence. The black community has the highest rates of fatherless homes, and coincidentally also has the highest incarceration rates and the highest crime rates. And I'm going to end with this because this article touches on what their golden calf is, the big piñata, what they're really going after, which is eliminating free speech, eliminating people like me and our ability to communicate. The Washington Free Beacon reports students demand Pitt, which I believe is the University of Pittsburgh, eliminate free speech protections. Student group coalition calls for firing of protesters it deems as racist. So I'm at 55 minutes, you guys. Free speech is under attack. Decency is under attack. Cities are uprising. National Guard is being sent into American cities. Hundreds of black nationalists are marching, egging on white militia members for a race war. Welcome to July of 2020. This was Counterculture, and today's was episode 40, the news, the censored news of the day. Everything can be found on AaronLujan.com. Thank you very much for joining me.